So today we are going to do a Book of Shadows slash Witchy Journal update. I know it's been a while since I've shared my journals with you guys, mostly because I was doing bullet journaling, and then last year I ended up picking up an iPad to experiment with digital art. And I wanted to really use the iPad more, just because it is an expensive product and I just wanted to make sure that I was really getting my money's worth. So I decided to switch to digital planning and I stopped using a physical bullet journal, but then kind of my functionality of how I do everything sort of branched off a little bit more into different limbs of that tree. So all of my mundane stuff is now put in a digital planner on my iPad. I do have a digital tarot journal on there as well, just because I love being able to just take pictures of the cards and putting them on there. I'm visual that way, and then I can save paper and printer ink. But I do still, of course, keep a Book of Shadows, which is something I've been working on for years. And then the thing that's different about my Book of Shadows than most people's is that didn't really want to keep spells in my Book of Shadows. I really just kind of wanted to keep more like a collection of information. Um, and just stuff that's more specific to me and my path. So I will share that in just a minute, but where I did start putting spells is I made a whole spell book right here. So we'll also take a look at that in a minute here, but um so we're going to get into the Book of Shadows and show you guys the updates. I will throw this on the playlist that I have on my Book of Shadows progression. I've been long overdue for an update. I apologize. Also, I'm sorry. Ever since I had COVID last year, I just have this thing where I keep having to clear my throat whenever I like eat or drink anything. I don't know if anyone else has had that issue with COVID, but it's ridiculous. All right, so I have a lot of uplifting, positive things in here. This is one of my favorite things, having Sailor Pluto in my Book of Shadows. This stuff is all not new to the previous update, but I will walk through it just for the sake of reference, I guess. So I have my birth chart, my dominant elements, and my sun, moon, and rising. These are symbols of power. Um, these runes here I actually have tattooed on me, on my chest. And then we've got animals that I'm spiritually connected to. So I've been connected to the orca since I was a child. And then the moth I associate with hell. And then the raven is my philia, which I can do a video talking about the concept of the philia at some point too. Then I have just um, words of power, so phrases and things like that that I find empowering. And then I'm going to do a little write up here on some bath magic because that's something that I tend to turn to a lot. And then some teas and brews. And then this is a sigil that's for chronic pain because I have chronic pain. I have several chronic illnesses. The next thing is all stuff on the moon. Now you'll notice there's a lot of things that are cut and paste in here because I like to recycle. So I take things from other journals, and sometimes even deconstruct books that I no longer want to use, and I just sort of recycle them this way. So there's also artwork and things like that in here. So we've got astrological information as well. The recipe for moonlight. These were from one of the Astro Soul planner. I had that one year, so I just took this and put it in there. This is all astrological stuff. These sections are cut out from one of the Llewellyn Witches planners. I used to have those for the longest time too. And then this stuff is from a the Mindful Witch Journal. I didn't really use it to the extent that I wanted, so I actually ended up deconstructing it and cutting up a lot and kind of recycling it here. And we have some artwork. These are all magical hours of the day, spell times, days of the week for ritual. Then we go into the sabbats, which more this will have my own handwriting and my own uh, flair on it too. I just haven't gotten that far yet, but I've been working on kind of more the collage aspect of it. Here we have the more Norse inspired Wheel of the Year because I'm a Norse pagan. And then I have been making all of these fun collage type sections for each of the sabbats. Again, recycling. There's some notes in here for other things that I'm going to include for Yule. But yeah, it's so this stuff here with the sabbats, this is all new from my last video. And I'm going to write blurbs of my own things that I love to do on these holidays and maybe just like a little bit of correspondence that I tend to associate with each sabbat. It's been really fun to kind of do this collage type. I must have accidentally. And then I am going to have a whole section on the main herbs that I tend to work with in my practice. I don't tend to work with sage that much anymore. I put this in here a while back and I will probably keep it, but you know, it's already in there, so and then I'm going to make a whole section on creating sacred space and the tools that I tend to use for that, since this last section here is just on casting the circle. And then we're going to have more here for candle magic and just colors and what the flame is doing and how that can be interpreted. And then just a little bit on crystals and the ones that I tend to use the most frequently. I love putting random artwork in here. Got a little bit on divination that I'm going to put all together, and house magic, so house deities that I work with, and the house spirits, the house fatir. And then we're going to have a full section on ancestral veneration. This is a birthday card that my friend Drew made me that I keep in here. I thought about having sections on my deities, but I'm kind of contemplating that because I have a goddess journal that I made for my goddesses, but that doesn't really have much of a place for Odin and Fenrir, who are the other two gods that I work with. So, yeah, I'm not sure about that one yet, but so that's kind of the update on the Book of Shadows. I'm gonna set that aside, and then I will share with you the spell book that I've been working on. So this is just a journal that I bought off of Amazon, and I really liked that it was kind of celestial and old looking. So my whole point behind this was to kind of make it a little bit more like vintage-esque, a little bit. I went through and I tea stained all the pages, which to do in a journal is a little bit of a pain in the butt. Basically, what I did is that I made a huge pot of tea and I took a paintbrush and I just painted every page. And then I had kept a paper towel down um, under each page that I was currently working on. And then I would take a hairdryer and I would just, on low setting, just very gently dry everything and then move on. So that's kind of how I managed to tea stain this whole book. But yeah, so in here I just have some of your basic information and then some recipes that I tend to use. We're going to do some herbal magic, just a list of herbal correspondence for herbs that I tend to use the most frequently, which again is probably a sort of duality between the Book of Shadows there, but that's okay. So I do have it's all sections off. I've got home and hearth spells, and anything that comes out of a book that is not of my own writing, I do have the author written there. Um, and then there's stuff that is my own as well. So I've got tons of stuff in here I've been adding to it. And again, it's all sectioned off. So we have charging, cleansing, healing, okay, prosperity, honoring, self-love. This is my recipe for my poppet that I made for self-love. Let's see, creativity. So we have a spell in here that is a jar of inspiration. Um, as an artist, that kind of stuff is, that kind of magic is really beneficial. Love and relations. So I couldn't fit the whole word relationship, so yep. The choice of being dyslexic. Ancestor. I do keep some like prayers and stuff in here too. Banishing. Shadow work is going to be the last section here, which I kept a lot of room for just because I tend to do a lot of shadow work, so I want to be able to leave room for anything that I would like to add for that section. And then I believe I actually kept a lot of room for the ancestral veneration one as well. So this was my spell book that I've been working on. I'm really proud of it, and it's been a lot of fun to explore with. So that's kind of my update on my witchy journals that I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and as always, blessed be.